Welcome, dear horror listener. You're tuning into Horror Radio, and I'm truly grateful you're here. Whether you're a long-time listener or just stumbled upon this channel, thank you for joining me for another scary tale. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and means more than you know. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, what brought you here, or even what kind of story you'd like to hear next. Your support keeps this channel going, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, let's get into today's horror story. This happened last December, about a week before Christmas. I was out doing some last-minute grocery shopping at the Walmart over in Crestwood, just outside Louisville. It was one of those crowded Friday afternoons when everyone seems rushed, cold, and vaguely irritated. I avoid shopping during the holidays like the plague, but we were down a bread crust and old mustard in the fridge, and I had both my kids in tow. I told myself I'd be in and out in under an hour. My name's Dana. I was 34 at the time, freshly divorced, and figuring out how to juggle everything solo. My kids, Ellie, who had just turned 6, and Milo, 2.5, were both stuffed into the shopping cart, one cross-legged in the basket, the other swinging her boots just over the edge. It was already a bit chaotic, but I had a close friend with me, James, who joined at the last minute just to help manage the kids while I ran through the list. He's the kind of person who keeps you grounded, even if he spends most of his time glued to work calls. He was walking a few halls away taking a client call, while I tried to focus on the overwhelming wall of hair dye options in front of me. The kids were getting restless. Ellie kept trying to poke at the packages while Milo jabbered about some robot toy he'd seen last week. That's when Milo leaned forward a little and whispered, "Mommy, weird." It made me pause. I turned around and there, about 15 or 20 feet behind us, was a man, probably in his 50s, shorter build, kind of doughy, dressed in a brown jacket and a knit beanie. He wasn't browsing. He wasn't pushing a cart. He was just standing there, staring. His eyes weren't on me. They were locked on my kids, on Milo specifically. I didn't say anything at first, just nudged the cart out of the aisle and turned toward the grocery section. I figure maybe he was waiting for someone, or maybe I was being paranoid. I'm not proud of how often I try to convince myself I'm overreacting, even when my stomach starts to tighten. I tap my wrist. James and I both wore those little buzz bracelets, the kind couples or friends get as a quiet way to check in. 3 quick taps meant call me. I barely turned into the frozen foods when my phone buzzed in my jacket. I picked up, and James's voice came through, calm but already alert. "Everything good?" "I'm not sure," I said quietly. "There's a guy. Was behind us in pharmacy. Not doing anything, just watching. Same guy I saw following you toward health and beauty." That made my stomach drop. I hadn't realized anyone was walking behind us before we even hit that aisle. James told me to hold tight. He'd find me. He showed up less than a minute later, sliding up beside the cart like he just happened to run into us. It made me feel better instantly, even if I didn't say much. I told him I'd spotted the guy again, near the shampoo shelves, and gave a vague description. James nodded but didn't press. We kept walking like nothing was wrong. For a while, things felt normal again. We debated pasta sauces, compared yogurt prices, tossed extra bags of popcorn into the cart for movie night. Then we reached the refrigerated aisle. I was holding up 2 different coffee creamers, asking Ellie which one we should get. When Milo perked up again and said Santa, I turned. The man for earlier was there, closer this time, maybe 6 feet away. He had one of those novelty Santa hats pulled over his beanie, and he was waving, not at me, at the kids. No cart, no groceries in his hands, just standing there. Again, my spine went stiff. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed the car handle and started pushing, fast. James caught the shift immediately and followed, asking under his breath if that was him. I nodded once, but kept my eyes ahead. We cut across 2 aisles and made a beeline for the front registers. James didn't confront him. I think he was waiting for a better moment. Or maybe he didn't want to start something in the middle of the store, surrounded by shoppers and their kids. We just wanted to check out and leave. I found an open self-check lane and started unloading items as fast as I could. I dropped a box of noodles, picked it up with shaky hands, tried to smile at Ellie like nothing was wrong. The cashier at the lane next to us noticed how flustered I looked and asked if I needed help. "There's a man," I said, trying to keep my voice low. "He's been following us, watching the kids. He's standing near the grocery exit now." She looked over my shoulder and her expression shifted, calm to concerned in 2 seconds. She stepped away briefly and returned with a manager who nodded at James and me and asked if we could point the guy out. James scanned the store, then said, "He's near the exit. Brown coat, Santa hat." The manager walked off toward the grocery doors, 2 other associates moving in the same direction. I felt like we could finally breathe, like maybe this was over. Then we left. We decided to exit through the opposite side of the store, away from groceries, assuming he was still being dealt with. But as we pushed open the doors and stepped into the cold, there he was, off to the side of the walkway, standing just beyond the sliding doors, waiting and looking at my kids again. His head tilted like he was trying to catch Milo's eye. James stepped in front of us, full height, 6'5", broad-shouldered, and said, loud and clear, "Back." "The hell?" "Off." The guy froze. Didn't say a word. Just turned slightly like he was thinking about walking away, but didn't move. Then, as we loaded the kids into the car, the manager and the 2 employees from earlier came out. One of them pointed toward the man, and the group started closing the gap between them. That's the last I saw, just enough to know someone was handling it. I threw the bags into the trunk and got in the driver's seat as fast as I could. We didn't talk much on the drive back. James was quiet, eyes scanning the rear view. I kept looking over my shoulder, like maybe that man had slipped into another car and was following us home. My heart didn't settle until I saw the familiar street signs of our neighborhood. I've thought about that day a lot. What creeps me out isn't just what happened, it's how subtle it all was. The way he stayed distant, the way he never said anything, never did anything overtly threatening. It was just attention, intense, unwelcome attention directed at 2 little kids in a grocery store. I still don't know what his intentions were. I don't want to know. And what gets me most is how easy it was for him to stay unnoticed. If Milo hadn't said anything, if I hadn't buzzed James when I did, I might have just assumed it was my own stress playing tricks on me. I think about all the parents shopping alone with their kids, how quickly a quiet stranger can blend in among the crowd. I don't shop at that Walmart anymore. I don't shop anywhere crowded without James or someone else I trust nearby. I'm not scared being out in public, but I am awake now, sharper, less forgiving of that creeping feeling in my gut when something doesn't feel right. I like to think I'm a kind of mom who acts fast, who protect her kids no matter what. But that day I froze. I doubted myself. And honestly, I'm just grateful James was there to make sure that wasn't the last time I got to second guess anything. To the man with the red hat, whatever your reason was, I hope we never meet again. I wasn't planning to be at Walmart that day. It was cold. One of those dull, gray February afternoons in Omaha where the light never really changes and everything outside feels quieter than usual. I'd run out of milk and we were low on diapers. I didn't want to drag my kids out in the weather, but staying home meant trying to stretch half a gallon of milk across 3 breakfasts, and I just didn't have the mental bandwidth for another battle over dry cereal. So we bundled up and went. My name's Rachel. I was 32 then, newly single, 2 kids under 7, and just getting through things one errand at a time. It was already busy when we got there. People doing their weekend shopping early. The kind of crowd where everyone looks a little more tense than usual, more focused on their lists than their surroundings. I parked near the pharmacy side and got both kids into the cart. Emery, 6, insisted on standing on the side and holding onto the metal edge like she always did. My toddler, Owen, was already chewing on one of his mittens and making that low hum he does when he's tired or bored or both. I headed straight for the cereal aisle. Emery was chattering about the marshmallow cereal her friend's mom lets them have, and I was pretending to consider it when I noticed a man standing at the far end of the aisle. At first, I didn't register him. Middle-aged, probably late 40s, brown jacket, knit gloves, scuffed sneakers. He didn't have a cart, wasn't holding a basket. He was just there. I assumed he was waiting for someone. Maybe his wife had the list. Maybe he'd forgotten something. I turned back toward the shelf and grabbed a box of the plain oat cereal my kids will actually eat without complaint. Owen was fussing, so I handed him my phone to play one of those toddler sound apps. We moved on. Milk, eggs, pasta. Emery kept darting ahead and pulling boxes off the shelves like she was helping. I was in that familiar zone, half focused, half watching everything around me. I didn't see the man again until we turned into the snack aisle. He was standing at the middle, facing the opposite side. This time, he looked up when we passed. Not at me, at Emery. She was wearing her red coat, the one with the little white stars. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, and her hair was half falling out of her ponytail. She smiled up at me and said, "Mommy, he's looking." I glanced behind us. He turned away quickly. Maybe he was just people watching. Some people do that. It doesn't mean anything. Still, I picked up the pace. The next aisle was juice and snacks. I gave Emery a juice box to keep her distracted. Owen was half asleep now, thumb in his mouth, eyes starting to close. We didn't see the man again until paper products. He wasn't close. He wasn't even in the aisle with us. He was standing just at the end of it, still without a cart, still not holding anything, just standing there. I told myself I was being paranoid. It wasn't like he was doing anything, but my heart had started ticking faster. I moved to the other end and doubled back toward the pharmacy section, trying to break the pattern. I figure if I was imagining it, that would prove it. Except he followed. I don't know when I realized it exactly. Maybe it was when I stopped near the vitamins and let Owen out of the cart to stretch his legs, and Emery leaned down to tie her shoe, and I looked up and there he was again. Closer this time, maybe 10 feet off, standing next to a rack of seasonal socks. Watching. That's when I felt it. Not fear exactly, but a deep unease, like something quiet was happening right in front of me and no one else could see it. I took out my phone and texted my brother Matt. He lives 15 minutes away and usually ignores my check-ins, but I added, "Please don't ask, just call me." That always works. He called in under 30 seconds. I picked up and pretended like I was just coordinating dinner plans. "I'm in Walmart," I said, "with the kids. I think someone's following us." Matt's voice dropped immediately. "Are you near the front?" "No, back by pharmacy." "Okay, get to the front. Get it, people. Don't stop." I hung up and told Emery we were playing a game. Who could get to the checkout line fastest without running? She perked up and bolted toward the front, laughing. I picked up Owen and followed. The man didn't follow this time. At least not that I could see. We got a line behind a woman buying 3 boxes of cat litter and a stack of canned food. I tried to act normal. Owen was heavy against my shoulder, breathing slow. Emery started humming a song I didn't recognize. I scanned the store behind me, but he was gone. The cashier noticed me looking over my shoulder and asked if everything was okay. I just said, "I think someone's been following us around the store." Her face changed. She nodded, did a button, and a manager came over. I gave a brief description: brown jacket, maybe late 40s, no card. The manager left to check the camera feeds and said they'd walk us to the car. I was already pulling into the lot when we walked out. I didn't see the man again. I sat in the passenger seat of Matt's car with Owen in my lap and tried to explain it without crying. He didn't say much, just kept his eyes on the lot, scanning every face that passed. Emery sat quietly in the back, watching us both, like she knew something serious had just happened. The next day, I got a call from Walmart. The man had left the store about 3 minutes after we did. Then, Came back inside again 30 minutes later. Same clothes, same path. He didn't buy anything. Security approached him, asked if he needed help. He left without answering. They said he wasn't banned, but they'd be keeping an eye out. Whatever that means. I haven't been back since. What still gets me isn't what he did. It's what he didn't do. He didn't talk. He didn't follow too closely. He didn't grab or threaten or yell. He just watched, moved when we moved, appeared and reappeared, like he was studying a pattern, like he was waiting for something to shift. I keep wondering, if I had let Owen walk a little farther, if Emery had lingered in a corner of an aisle just a second longer, would he have made a move, or was he never planning to? That uncertainty is what sticks with me. That feeling that someone could have a whole narrative unfolding in their mind while you just try and buy cereal and juice. You don't know you're in someone's story until it's too late to get out. We're more careful now. Emery holds a cart every time. Owen stays strapped in. I carry pepper spray in my purse and watch every aisle for repeats of the same face. And to the man with the brown jacket, if you were just lost, just confused, just people watching on a bad day, I hope you're okay. I really do. But if you weren't, if you were waiting for something to go wrong, I'm glad it didn't. This happened not long ago, maybe 3 weeks back. I've gone over the details in my head more times than I can count, and even now, I'm not exactly sure what it was that night. Coincidence, intimidation, or something worse that never got the chance to happen. My name's Tyler. I'm 22, live alone just outside Macon, Georgia. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom rental tucked off a county road between some woods and an old church. It's the kind of place where you know the gas station cashier by name, but you still keep their doors locked at night. Quiet mostly. I work at a small print shop downtown, and by the time I get off, most things around here are already winding down. That night was a Tuesday. I'd stayed late at work because our big vinyl cutter jammed, and someone had to babysit it while it ran the backup job. I was tired, hungry, and out of groceries, which is always the perfect combo to get me through a late Walmart trip. Nothing major, just coffee, eggs, cereal, a frozen pizza maybe. I figured I'd grab what I needed and be back home by 10. It was a little past 8:30 when I pulled into the lot. The parking lot was only half full, just the regular mix. Families with kids still dragging their feet out of the store, a few delivery guys waiting in their trucks, maybe a night shift nurse grabbing essentials before clocking in. It wasn't sketchy or unusually quiet. If anything, it was routine. That's probably what makes all of this stick with me so much, because it didn't feel wrong until it did. I headed inside like usual, threw a 12-pack of Coke into my cart near the front, just because it was on sale, then took my time walking through the aisles. I always shop with one earbud in, playing whatever random playlist I'm on that week. Sometimes I like the quiet, but music helps when you're shopping alone. It keeps the noise in your head from getting too loud. I didn't notice him at first. Maybe that's why it caught me off guard later. I was grabbing some rice and soup cans when I felt this brief pause behind me, like someone slowed down a little too long in your blind spot. I glanced back, just a guy walking past. Older, probably late 50s. Flannel shirt, tan vest, jeans. Harmless looking. He didn't even make eye contact. Just kept walking. I finished shopping around 8:50 and headed to self-checkout. I scanned everything, bagged it up, paid, and made my way outside. It wasn't freezing, but the air had that kind of chill where you know winter is getting ready to settle in. I walked to my car, parked a few rows out, and popped the truck. That's when I noticed him again. At first, I didn't think anything of it. He was standing on the opposite end of the lot. No cart, no bags, just standing, looking in my direction. I kept moving, tossed the bags in, shut the trunk, got in the driver's seat, locked the doors automatically. The moment I did, a weird wave of tension hit me. Nothing big, just that flicker of I don't like this. I started the engine and pulled out. As I drove past the front of the store, I looked in the rearview mirror again. He was gone. I turn onto the main road leading back to my place. It's one of those two-lane stretches that's barely lit and lined with pine trees and dirt shoulders. It's only about 5 minutes from Walmart to my house, but about a mile in, I saw headlights behind me. No big deal. Normal. But then they got closer. Not like regular close. Tail getting close. Too close for a random driver. I let off the gas, dipped my tires onto the shoulder, and slowed down to let them pass. They didn't. Instead, they matched my speed, stayed right on my bumper. I could feel the unease crawl up my neck. I tapped my brakes once, just a little warning. No change. Then I tapped them harder. Nothing. That's when I realized this wasn't some impatient driver. Whoever it was, they were sticking with me on purpose. My first instinct was to turn off and loop back around, see if they kept following. I pulled right into the gravel cutout that leads toward the church down the road. The truck stayed with me. I knew it was a black Dodge Ram, older model. Well, I pulled into the gravel lot and looped around the small parking area. The truck stayed parked by the road for a second, then crept forward and turned in after me. I didn't wait. I pulled out hard, tires spinning for half a second on the loose gravel, and booked it down a different side road that eventually loops back toward my place. My heart was pounding. My jaw was tight. I didn't know what this guy wanted, but I knew it wasn't good. He followed again, this time closer. I could feel it in the air, the tension of someone too confident, too quiet. I tried to stay calm, breathe, think. I knew the area well, every dip and curve in the road. I took a sharp right, cut through a shortcut that comes out by the hardware store, and figure I'd lost him. Then the headlights showed up again in my mirror. Still him. At this point, I was gripping the wheel so tight my fingers hurt. My mind was racing. Do I call the cops? Pull into a gas station? Just get home and lock myself in? I should have pulled into a public place. But in that moment, I didn't want to stop anywhere. I didn't want to slow down and find out what he wanted. So I went home. Probably a mistake, but I panicked. I just wanted to be inside, somewhere I knew I could lock doors, grab something heavy, make a call. I turned into my driveway, heart hammering so loud I could hear it over the music still playing through my phone. I didn't even shut the garage, just jumped out of the car and sprinted inside, locking the door behind me. I stood there in the hallway for a solid minute, breathing heavy. I could still hear the crunch of tires outside. Then silence. I peeped out my front window. No truck, no one, just the empty driveway and the street lights casting long shadows over the yard. I made my way to the kitchen, put the bags down, and leaned on the counter. Tried to laugh it off. Told myself maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe it was nothing. Then my phone buzzed. Motion detected, front porch. I tapped the notification, and the Ring camera feed popped up, and there he was, the man from the parking lot, standing on my porch. No truck in view, just him, hands at his sides, not knocking, not pacing, just waiting. I backed away from the window, so fast I nearly slipped. I called 911 immediately. The operator was calm, asked questions I barely remember answering. My name, address, description. They said officers were on the way. By the time they arrived, he was gone. I showed them the Ring footage. They took a report, said they'd do extra patrols in the area. But without plates or a clear vehicle ID, there wasn't much else they could do. That was it. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark living room with a baseball bat across my knees and every light off. I kept checking the cameras, rewatching the video, replaying the road in my mind. Try to make sense of why. Why follow me? Why stop my house? Why not knock? Why not say anything? It's been a few weeks, and nothing else has happened. But I've changed things. I swapped the locks. I keep motion lights on all night. I stopped shopping after dark, and I check every single mirror when I pull out of any parking lot now, even during the day. And yeah, I know I should have gone to a public place instead of driving home. I've beaten myself up about that more times than I can count. But when you're in it, when your heart is racing and your head's buzzing, it's not always easy to think clearly. What I keep coming back to is this. He never said a word, never made a threat, never touched me, And yet, he managed to make me afraid of my own home. There's something deeply wrong with that. To the man in the black Dodge Ram, if you ever come back, know this. Next time, I won't hesitate.